All shy to talk.
I love it. I love it. This is going to be.
So when I wave this, it's my turn to talk, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get hectic today. So I'm going to see if I can get all my talking bits done at the start. And then that way, I'm just going to let these guys go. How are we going? Oh, we've got people straight on. Now, as always, oh my goodness, I think number one, we're talking luxury today, but we need an extra big glass of champagne. If you're a parent like me, can you please give me a, oh my God, we made it into the chat function over here, because wow, today was the last day of homeschooling. Congratulations to all the parents out there. Let's do a quick little cheers.
Not a parent cheers,
I think they deserve a bottle of champagne.
Ah, yes, Justine, we made it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think that I just heard as well 5 minutes ago, pubs and clubs going up to 50 people for the 1st of June. Ah! So exciting. So I think it's all kind of coming back online quicker than we sort of thought. And it's almost like we're all in a bit of a praying mode, not in the biblical sense, but more in the ready, lying in wait, ready to spring and go into action. I know, that's it, right? And all we need is like an announcement from the various state premiers, and we'll be like, right, let's go, let's do this. So one of the things that I absolutely loved about last week's webinar was that I'm like one of those, I actually think this is probably our biggest flaw. So if you don't know me, Dean, my husband and I, we work together, and we are like, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And then we just run off in 100 different directions, and we're like going spinning around in circles and confusing busyness with productivity. So I absolutely loved last week's webinar. Thank you so much to everyone who came on. Aneta from my bridesmaids dressing room down in Melbourne was giving us some like really good financial advice in terms of how to evaluate what is a good innovation to take, to go ahead with, actually analysing what is the benefit you'll get from it, as well as evaluating what potential loss, how much loss you can take if it doesn't work, and if you don't do the innovation. We had Glenn from GM Events talking about the inspiration that he gains from seeing what the overseas market is doing. We had Karen Willis-Holmes talking about innovating in terms of not reinventing the wheel, having a look at what products and services you already have and how you can evolve those to start earning more money with the least amount of work and needing to reinvent the wheel. So if you didn't see last week's webinar, it is up on YouTube now on the Weddinar channel. So you can check that out. As you know, this week we have the amazing NICKY VELANI and Philip CARR, who are going to be talking about not only marketing trends, but also how to build a luxury brand. And that's why I've got my special champagne. Look, I got the good stuff for you guys today. I had an amazing private coaching session with Dr. Nidhi Barrera yesterday. I love doing private sessions with people. It's so much fun. So I love it when they bring along a bottle of Verve for me. That's always good. So we've got the good stuff there today. And it's actually kind of been funny. Like, this has gone off in such a crazy way that I didn't expect. And so some of that content from past weeks, I'm going to really try and get that up for us all to be able to use. So we're going to sort of deliver more content online. I'm looking at my notes here as well. Some IGTV snippets, like taking some of the best bits from the other webinars. We're going to turn the other webinars into a podcast so that we can all listen to them when we're in the car and sort of go over those notes again. And the other thing that you're going to hear these guys talking about when it comes to really building a luxury brand is the power of networking. I had a chat to Philip and both NICKY recently, and it was fantastic. They were really saying, how so much the wedding industry, it's really important, whether it's for people overseas, or I'll let them tell their stories, but how important it is when we can network and get to know each other and then work together. So one thing I'm really excited is that we're going to start to share more of all of our stories in the Facebook page. And then we're going to do some interviews, and we can all get to know each other a little bit more and then all work together, which should be really exciting. Like I said, once these guys start, I'm barely going to get a word in. So I wanted to leave you with a couple of takeaways that I certainly got when I've been listening and chatting with these guys. NICKY is going to have a little bit of a chat today about reinventing herself. And so I've known NICKY for quite a while. You did my daughter's bridesmaids dress, bridesmaids Flower Girl.
Our girl.
Not there yet. Flower Girl dress. And so I know you really well. And it's been amazing. Like, I think we've been in business for a long time, and you know that business cycles go up and down and up and down. But you've really reinvented yourself. So you're going to have a little bit of a chat to us about, if you've been in the market, how do you take your brand to a luxury level if you're existing? Philip is going to be chatting to us all about how he creates luxury. One of the things that I absolutely loved hearing was that it doesn't take money. You know, when Philip was talking, I love it. It's all about the experience and listening to what your client wants and then delivering above and beyond their expectations, especially coming out of COVID, the importance of emotional connection and you know, how to deliver luxury in that way. And one of the great things that I'm really excited about today is a lot of adult education really focuses on the power of storytelling, because it's one thing for me to sit here and go, that's boring. When you hear these guys talk, it's like inspiring. Like, I literally was like writing, I've been writing 6 pages of notes. I'm so excited. So to start, I know I've revved you up a lot, but to start, Nikki and Philip, tell me, how did you guys meet? Because I love this story.
Oh, can I say this story? Because I
Nikki.
It was a Sunday afternoon, and I'd actually gone to the cricket. I was at the SCG, and I get a phone call from Victoria Black from Wildfire Publishing, and I thought she was actually at the cricket and she could see me. So I thought, oh shit, I better, you know, answer this call because she's probably looking at me. So I'm going, oh, hi, Victoria, looking around. Can you see me? Where are you sitting? And she goes, look, I'm at home. And I was like, oh, I'm like, why are you calling me on a Sunday night for? And she goes, I've just gotten off the phone with the extraordinary Philip CARR.
Boxing Day.
And it was Boxing Day.
Boxing Day, yep. You know, I've just gotten off the phone with the extraordinary Philip CARR, and he needs an amazing couturier, and I've recommended you. And I'm like, oh, I get to work with Philip. So finally found out to speak to Philip, and he needed someone to create a wedding gown for a client in 4 days. Now, I had already had 1 week of holidays. I was a bit bored. I was itching to get back into work. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to work and, you know, show Philip how amazing I am, and obviously my client as well. So I'm there doing a consultation from, you know, the bar area at the SCG, talking with the customer. And she subsequently came in on Monday morning. I, you know, had one look at her. I said, look, go across the road, have some breakfast and come back. And I had a calico toile done, and the rest is history.
That's amazing.
4 days. Yeah.
Clients don't eat, but she went across the road.
Yeah, she did actually have breakfast that day that she enjoyed. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I have to say, I've just been handed a note in the background. I totally forgot to introduce who you guys are. So if you don't know, NICKY VELANI is an amazing couturier, the amazing powerhouse behind VELANI Designs. So you have done red carpet looks for the Oscars, for the Logies. You have had your gowns shown on Dancing with the Stars, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, The Bachelorette. You have had your dresses worn by Kate Ritchie, Roxy Jacenko, Megan Gale, Delta Goodrem. Who am I missing?
Oh gosh, we're going to have all day. We've got 1 hour.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
And she's humble. No. And now, Philip CARR, you are just the, as I keep reading, the A-list celebrity event planning Supremo. We're not talking normal level. We're talking about planning events for Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Princess Mary, George Bush. I mean, keep going. Tell me who else I'm missing here.
Mandela.
That's what I'm missing.
Terry Blair.
My goodness. So tell me, how, if I'm starting out in business and I'm looking at you and I'm going, I want to be him. Like, that's my dream. I want to be the top of my game and I want to service clients like that. Tell me, how do I get to where you are?
Well, I think the big thing today, or when you're young, is to be passionate about detail. So today, everyone can go online, order things, do things. The only thing, the real luxury today is it's very hard to buy good service. So if you can offer the ultimate service, it's the one thing that people cannot do or get themselves. And I think that the important thing is the passion of doing something. So think about everything from the time a person drives into the event, where they're going to park, how they're going to park, is there valet parking, is there parking, easy parking in the area? Because each of those things are going to have an effect on the day. I often think of like people getting ready for a wedding, and they, you know, they'll go to the makeup artist and they go to the hairdresser and they don't eat lunch. So sort of when they get to the wedding, often they're like really famished. So sometimes we tell people to come at say 4, but the ceremony is actually only 4:45, and you give people a drink and they have a snack or 2. And it's keeping on trying to be one step ahead of where they would be. So they always think, well, that's great. Like even when people come out of the church or something, we often have coffee machines there, because when you're sitting in a ceremony, all you want to do is get out and get a coffee. So if you one step ahead of them, they feel that everything is being accounted for. The interesting thing is that often all these layers and layers of detail are not the expensive thing. So it's very easy to go and put $100,000 flowers in the roof, or put in chandeliers or velvet chairs or whatever it is. But often it's the little things that count. So if people are getting married on the lawn in a park, have little things there's these little things you buy, to shoe protectors, because thinking no one's going to want to stand with their good shoes in the grass having their heels go in. So, you know, even having
luxurious.
What do you call it? Like AeroGuard, you know, so it's often having AeroGuard there, or having suntan lotion, or doing things, thinking if I was a person and I came to a function and I'm a total hedonist, what would I like? You know, I'd want some suntan lotion. And often people don't even use, it's almost just, it's the having it there that makes them feel that it's been accounted for, you know. So I think it's more important that you think of the layers of detail, what the bathrooms look like, the smells in the bathroom, the smells in
That's the first place I go. The first thing I do is drink too much because I'm hungry, and then go straight to the bathroom.
And most women's first experience of an event is the bathroom.
Yep.
So, you know, it's like going to a restaurant and going to the bathroom and climbing over the kitchen and onto greasy floors doesn't make you want to be, you're not that hungry. But if you go to a beautiful bathroom, and maybe sometimes we put someone there and we run a little perfume bar, or there's I've learned these things like Hollywood, some like clips, or what's it?
Hollywood tape,
or, you know, you have all those things on a table. It's amazing how excited people get because of, you know, whether there's hair clips, we have sometimes someone just blow drying people's hair or having lipsticks there to help. And people come out the bathroom and say, that was amazing. And you 3/4 of the way winning them over in terms of the event. So if they get inside, and I'm not saying whether there are flowers or they're not flowers, or it's often all those experiences that actually have much more long-lasting memories of the experience for them.
That's so true. I love that, because I know that, like, even though you're saying that little things, they don't have to cost a lot of money. And when you're starting out, let's be honest, we all don't have a lot of money. And I think that's so true. One thing, like, we've been in weddings now for nearly 18 years. And about 60% of our couples come from word of mouth referrals. We either shot their sister's wedding, we've shot another family member's wedding, or they've come from another person in the wedding industry where they've gone, you know what, we've worked with Enlighten, we love what they do, we know they do a good job, so we want to work with them. So just going above and beyond and doing that next level is so important. Nikki, what about like you, I know you've really reinvented yourself. I mean, how important is networking? How did you reinvent yourself?
Well, look, I've been in the industry now for 30 years. 25 years in 5 docs. So it just got a little bit to the stage, especially with the onset of social media. Like, once upon a time, if we wanted to be known and we wanted to be seen, we would do an advertising campaign. A photographer, a makeup artist, a hairdresser, a florist, we'd collaborate and create a magazine, pay a few $1,000s, and then put ourselves out there.
And then you can sit back and do nothing. The magazine would do the work.
The magazine, that's just brides would come in and they'd have, you know, a bundle of magazines under their arm, and they'd say, I love this, I love that, etc. So with the onset of social media, it changed a lot. So gone were the days where, you know, you would dress a celebrity and you would wait for the Sunday pages, Sunday social pages to see your work. So then you'd be able to cut it out and put it in your album to show customers. All of a sudden it became online and digital. So we had to sort of keep up in a sense and think, hang on a second, what are we going to do? We once used to pay $5,000-$6,000 for inside front cover of a magazine. Well, why don't we instead, with that kind of money, do a campaign, make up some samples and give them out to stylists, etc., that they could then show talent to wear to functions and then get the exposure in a virtual way, in a digital way. So I was approached by a stylist back in 2018 to do some work for Ali, who was the Bachelorette at the time. And I must admit, initially I thought, oh dear, all this work is hard work and I'm getting a Bachelorette, you know, to do some gowns for. The producers were so happy with my efficiency that I was able only to work off one fitting. And they're on tight deadlines. So they would turn around and say to me sometimes, oh, Nikki, we need you at 4 a.m. in the mansion. And I'd be like, I'm not coming to Terry Hills at 4 a.m. in the morning. But unfortunately, she was out on location, etc. That was the only time I had. So the fact that I didn't complain, I went and did my job. I ended up from only one gown being requested, and she had quite large, you know, cleavage as well. So they liked the way I was still able to make her look sexy, yet not tarty. They ended up commissioning 3 gowns for me to wear, for Ali to wear. And then the minute The Bachelorette was aired, my phones then just started ringing all of a sudden with this younger generation of thinking, oh, she must be really good because she gets her work on TV. Then one stylist called, then another one followed, and then another one and another one. And the key denominator in all was how efficient I was.
Yeah.
When I work with Amanda Keller from Dancing with the Stars, she's got a radio program. She films for the living room on top of being a mum. So I, again, was very limited to when I had access with her. So I was able to work, cut out several designs, do one fitting on the base, decorate pretty much, you know, with draping, etc., whatever I needed to do. She had a final fitting and the gown was complete. No cancellations, half an hour. So it went from 2 outfits last season to 4 outfits this season. So again, all the stylists love working with me because I can turn things around quickly and I'm efficient.
That is awesome. And it's interesting because we can get that lucky shot at a big break.
Yeah.
But then it's the way in which we work hard, respond to it. And Philip, I know you are going to jump in on this one because I know how important this is. The importance of valuing and saying thank you when someone gives you work. I mean, I know how much I would love to shoot for one of your weddings or one of your events, and yet people aren't always grateful for when those opportunities arise and say thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I think, like, I love social media and I love all these things.
Yeah.
There's also the part that it's consumed people in a totally different way.
Yes.
So I don't want to discuss too much COVID, but the amazing thing about this quiet time has been people have had time to say thank you, you know, and if the fruit man drops stuff at your house, you pick up it, you know, it's not something, leave it at the door because I'm talking to someone in a meeting. And that little bit slowing down has given, I think people have got much more respect for each other, or the way we speak to each other, that little bit of time. And it's amazing how a little thank you or something does go like a big way.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge part of it. I know one of the other things that a big way to create luxury is that it's very different for every person as well. What I think to be luxury, you know, can be a bottle of Verve, but to one person, another person might go, that's my everyday quaffing champagne. I don't know. I mean, so how do you go about working out how to create a luxury experience that is bespoke for that person?
Well, I think the interesting thing is, and I don't say it's necessarily the wealthier people are, but when people can buy anything that they want, you've got to find something that they can't buy. So you've got to find the level of service that just they can't get. So that's, you're only going to get them on that. You're not going to get them on, you know, well, you can sit in the front of the plane, because they always sit in the front of the plane, or you know, so you've got to, but service is the only thing that I feel that they can't buy, they can't get, and I think it's also, you know, it's like a lot of people that come with a lot of money, they don't necessarily want to spend it, and they never want you to assume they just want to spend it. So it's interesting who spends money, how they spend money, and, you know, and why they, you know, and why they would do it. And the interesting thing, just to jump back, it's a bit off channel, was when we did that wedding dress in 4 days, the interesting thing is my client was so blown away that sort of she had breakfast and then she came back and there was a half a dress, and then she had lunch and kind of there was the whole dress. And she subsequently, 2 of their other daughters got married, went there to NICKY. 2 or 3 of their friends have gone to, you know, it's almost, and these are people I wouldn't say that wouldn't normally go, but just because it was such good service, these people, they're going to repeat that to people. Do you know what I mean? Because I think, especially in Australia, we're often not good at service, and it's not as, you know, the way the culture works is often not, you know, carry your own suitcase up to the room, even though you're paying $800 for the room. You know, if you'll carry it, you know, you do it. Whereas it's amazing, like the rituals of service, or it's like when you go into a shop and they put the tissue paper in, and they don't, you know, practically they could just put the thing, you know, under your arm and go, you know. But it's when you're offered, I think it's always when you're offered the unexpected.
Oh, I remember I went and bought so many gifts for people, like family members and things like that, for Christmas. And I got them a little Chanel lipstick. And it was just a little lipstick. But when you go in there, they wrap it in the special paper. And it's not just bundled up the way I do wrapping. It's like cut finely with the ribbon, and then in the Chanel bag. And then people, when you hand that over, it's not even what's inside. It's just the fact that it's so wrapped so beautifully.
Yeah, it's the little things that make the next step into something a little bit bigger than it's expected.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If NICKY finished the dress and sort of put it in, practically it could go into a Coles packet and get home just the same way as in a beautiful box. But there's something, like it's when you order something from Mr. Porter and this box arrives and it's got the black ribbon on it and it says Mr. P. And I'm always very happy because it's my initials. But just when it arrives, you can get it from London in 3 or 4 days. You know, this box arrives, it's, you know, if it's wrong, you can send it back. It's so, the service is offered in on such a high level standard that you'll use them again because it's just an easy process.
That's great. So now we know that service is really good, and I'm a crazy believer in serving your clients and serving, you know, anyone who you work with. It's not about trying to get clients. It's not about trying to advertise at them. It's about trying to work out what it is that they want and delivering it to them really well. And that's how you get that, you know, those referrals. But we did sort of chat then about what the bag that the dress came in. If we are trying to establish a luxury brand like you guys have you done much work in, like, how important is the look of your logo, the look of your business card, the look of your social media? I mean, maybe not social media so much, but how important is the look of your brand?
Look, it's quite important. I know with myself, I've had the beautiful velvet coat hangers made with the gold VELANI logo. I have ribbon made in 2 widths, again with the VELANI logo, the matching gold cover bags. When I ship my my christening gowns overseas, I again have invested in getting not only the box that the christening gown goes in, but the actual brown box that the box then goes in. So then when the customer opens up the parcel overseas, it's a massive, beautiful VELANI ribbon. And everyone always sends me messages going, oh my goodness, we don't want to open it. It's so pretty. And it is just, again, about going that little bit more.
Yeah. But you know, I think the thing about luxury also is when we do an event, we always look at it in a very holistic way of, like, what are people going to see? What are they going to smell? What are they going to taste? What are they going to touch? what are they going to feel? So the process, even when you look at the christening gown, there's something about putting grosgrain or satin in your hands and opening it. So it's often never the obvious thing. It's actually all the other things. So if they, like, we'll often at an event put 2 or 3 really good candles somewhere in the room. So there's a sense of, I mean, it's very hard to sometimes get real smell out of flowers today, but you can actually put good candles that smell of real good flowers. And but then you've got to say it can't be so strong that they can't smell their food. So it's always balancing things out. But, you know, good lighting while you're eating dinner, you know, it's great walking into a room that's been, you know, sort of washed in lavender. It's not great eating a salad that's washed in lavender.
That's true.
You know, so everything has to be looked at on many different levels. But I think when we talk about if someone is new in the business, the more detail they can think of, how would the lighting look when people ate? How will it look when there's speech? You know, how will it look like? How will it feel when it's dancing? Those are all different layers and different ways of doing the lighting. And the same works for everything, you know. And I think, just I imagine even like with a dress, you know, sometimes you get these brides and they can't even walk in their dress. And we had an interesting thing once. This bride had this most absolutely beautiful dress and the whole bottom was tulle. And eventually the mother said, come to the back. They went to the back room and the mother says, give me your scissors. And she sort of took off 30 centimeters of the dress so the daughter could have a great party. And I was like, yeah, I thought, are we just going to cut off like a centimeter off the bottom? And she just like hacked the thing. And the bride said from that point was the best thing. So even though the thing looked amazing, she was non-functional in it, you know? And that's about, I think she knocked off like $3,000 in a minute, you know. Like.
Nikki's having a conniption about to pass out of the top.
No, it's funny.
Yeah, I think it was just such a weird, I mean, it was actually so amazing to be so real, you know.
Yes, but Lauren Sandomenico, that Brazilian socialite, she got married, I can't remember the designer that made her gown, but she had this amazing gown. And the designer, after the party, there was a feature in Vogue. He actually got the scissors out and cut it right across, you know, quite high thigh, so she can dance. And I remember seeing that, and I was mortified at this $100,000 gown, just about the rest of it just sitting on the floor. But it does happen.
You talk about the ultimate in the unexpected.
Yes.
So the designer coming and taking half back to add to his next outfit.
That's cool though, but I love you talking about thinking about not just an event, but also our businesses. What do clients think? You know, what do they see? What do they touch? What do they taste? What do they smell when they walk into us and into our businesses? And I know it's actually something that, again, not wanting to talk about COVID too much, but coming back in to our studio, we hadn't been there in a couple of weeks. And just this week I went back in and I thought to myself, what are our clients going to do? They're going to go to the bathroom at some point. We need to make sure everything's super clean. And yeah, thinking about that client experience in terms of all those factors is going to be super important coming back out of it. I wrote that down as a note. I really liked that. What do you guys see as going to be marketing trends for us going forward from here? I mean, I know we've heard other weeks people talking about the fact that flowers are going to need to be more based on, or floral designs are going to need to be based more on what's in season as opposed to what can be brought in from overseas. Venues are possibly not going to be able to do grazing platters, things like that. But what do you mean? You guys are the ones setting the trends. What are you guys seeing for marketing or wedding trends going forward?
Look, personally, what I'm going to introduce, I really loved doing this initial virtual, whether it's a Zoom call, whether it's a FaceTime, whether it's a WhatsApp. So many times, you know, you speak to someone on the phone and they will say, when you start talking about price range, when they ask you a question, nothing's ever a problem. And they come inside and then they pick your brain, and not a problem, that's part of the service. Like, we'll do a sketch, you know, we'll show samples, we'll quote, and then you'll get a phone call saying, I'm really sorry, but it's really out of my price range. And it's sometimes you think, but like, I told you a starting, I told you a median price, I told you, you know, an average, and there was never a problem. So by continuing this first step being virtual, at least you can eliminate the person that does not want to spend that kind of money, you know, with you. And in saying that, I don't think my prices are that expensive. We start from $7,000. So at least we can have a virtual conversation, a consultation, we can have a chat, because there's a lot more emotional connection via Zoom. then if, as opposed to an email, sometimes emails we might be a little bit brief because we're a little bit busy because we've got something else to do. Or they might even go into our spam folders and we might not reply to them until 2 weeks later. But at least with this,
I want to hear this.
Yeah, I know, but no. I'm real.
I love you. Don't.
No, okay. Control freaky. But anyway, so what we can then turn around and do is by having Zoom consultations, we eliminate the initial email process. Yep. And then if they're happy, we can then follow it all through with a face-to-face consultation and then take it from there. Because we've been quite happy with the Zoom consultations through the 8 weeks or the 9 weeks that we've been haven't been working at the store. So, and a lot of clients say, look, we feel a little bit more comfortable because we can see you, and I do a sketch, I email the client the sketch if they're happy, and then we take it forward. So that's one thing that I do want to continue into post-COVID. And then I've actually enjoyed a little bit of this slower pace, and I have to be honest and say to you, look, I want to continue and not sort of, learn to say no a little bit more sometimes. When someone will turn around and give me that deadline that's sometimes in, 2 days time, I might turn around and say, look, you know what? No, I might give it a miss this time. If that, yeah.
Now, it's actually an interesting point. And guys, I think that probably that feeling of, I hate to say it, but time wasting clients that to afford our services. And God bless, we can't service everybody, and that's okay to, be targeting our ideal market. That's okay. If you guys have any questions about this, just type it into the chat, because I think that's definitely something we can all relate to. And then if you actually, when you put it in there as well, in the right-hand side in the chat bar, you'll see there's a little 2, and you can actually highlight whether you want the question to go to all panelists or all panelists and attendees. And then that way we can all have a little bit of a conversation in there as well. I know that you mentioned pricing, and again, it's something that I've talked about before, and it is something that I'll be honest with, I'm struggling with a little bit at the moment, is this desire to do every job that comes my way and start underquoting because I just want to work, and I confuse business with profitability, and I do fall into that trap of just promising everything at too low a price. Now, Philip, I'm sure you'll agree that if I want to be a luxury brand, I need to stop this. How do I stop this?
Well, the interesting thing is I work on a fee.
Mm-hmm.
Whether the people are going to spend $3,000 on their wedding or $300,000 or whatever they're going to spend on the wedding, I charge a fee, which I feel I deserve for my knowledge, my time, my creativity, everything that I'm going to do for them. Whether if I'm clever enough to do a party with $80 sticks instead of $18,000 flowers, that can benefit them. But it's got that. But my fee is based on my knowledge and what I've learned. And there's that old Picasso thing when someone said, "Can you do a sketch on a paper napkin at a luncheon?" And they did it, and Picasso said, "Well, that's $30,000." He said, "But it took you 1 minute." He said, "No, it took me 40 years."
Yes.
And people don't realize that often the things that I often hear things that have happened at someone's party where little kids. She's not an event planner. And, they put the candles near the wall, or they did this, or there was no accounting for rain, or whatever the story is. And you're not in the business for 40 years that you haven't learned something and knowledge that you can impart. I mean, we can pull from the food together to the flowers, to the lighting, and, to understand how lighting should be at different times of an evening. It's all knowledge that you deserve to get paid for. I don't believe in, if they spend more, you necessarily earn more. Yep. But I think for some reason, a lot of us in service industries, we always think we don't deserve it. So, Nikki can spend 100 hours on a dress, but why should she do it for $10 an hour? Do you know what I mean? And sometimes there are a lot of people there's always the people that service, like we all get pleasure in servicing people. We're not people that necessarily get pleasure out of being served. And they're different kinds of people. But sometimes people make you feel, I saw someone yesterday and they said, "Well, apparently you're the most expensive." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" Most expensive if you if you spend $50,000 on lighting, but maybe you get $60,000 worth, you know, what do you how you do, you know, how do you get to a comment like that? And often there's no rationale, you know, and it's the same when people come to you and they say, oh, I want to spend X on the wedding. And I said, well, how did you work that out? Well, the one family thought they'd put in half, and the other family they'd put in half. I said, but how did you come to that figure? And they've never really said, well, there's 200 guests and it's going to be $100 for food, and this is the band's going to cost us. They just come with a figure that sounds like luxurious. There's never a logic to it. And I think sometimes you have to just show these people. And I went to this meeting and the woman said, my husband wants 3 different quotes and this and, you know, doing. And I said, well, let me explain, you know, do you want a DJ? Do you want a band? Do you want this band? And it was interesting. After the meeting, she phoned her husband and he said, now he understands everything, you know, and it's interesting because sometimes people think, well, luxury means expensive and luxury means this and
no, it doesn't. Yeah,
and it's not like that, you know. And you also realize everyone has different values. You know, you look at brides that have a makeup artist for $2,000-3,000 for the day because they're there before the ceremony and after the ceremony and during the evening and at the end of the evening, and their hair's going up and their hair's going down. And I've got other clients that they want to have a good time at the party. They don't care if their hair's up or down at that point. But you know, some people it's a total visual. You know, you get these brides that as long as they're looking unbelievable every minute of the evening, even if they've spent literally an hour of the evening in the back room having their hair re-upped or downed or whatever, and that's their value system. As long as, but if you ask them afterwards, I don't know if they would have actually enjoyed their function because they're often not even at it. You know? So I think it's also I think most people that come to me are a certain kind of person, you know, so they value the service, the experience, the much more subtle levels of it's more the concept of something. You know, I think, you know, it's like you can say serve a piece of fried fish in a paper packet. You could serve it on a silver platter. And it's more like understanding what you're trying to achieve at the event that gives the thing a greater sense of creativity and a thing of being, when I say different, it's always bearing in mind what the clients want. So it could be really cool to have you know, you think it's really cool having a wedding with bar stools and bar tables. Have you ever sat on a bar stool for 5 hours without a back? So the guest's going to be miserable. So even though you thought you maybe fitted more in, or bar stools were cheaper, or the venue had the bar stools, it's not really good for the evening. So it's not luxurious.
I love that. And you were just saying then about, you know, the coming up with like the fish in a paper bag. Like you can order that paper bag online, but what you can't order is your ideas and your creativity. And I think that's what really...
And it's also the way it's done. You know, a lot of our events, we always insert that like straight, like something, when I say not expected, like I always think like at 11 o'clock at night, people will much rather have like a cheese toastie than a perfect chocolate truffle, like 90% cocoa. You know what I mean? Like, so it's always thinking, what if people, like I always put bottles of water for guests as they leave the party, because I know people walk out of, you know, they say goodbye and everything, and they walk out and they kind of like taste their mouth and they just need water, or they just need some jelly beans. And often you could, like I did a function now, we just had big packets of popcorn. And when guests came out of
he does good parties.
Yeah,
they came out of the venue and they just saw hot popcorn being made. And it's like, and it's often things that you go back to memories of your childhood, go to the movies, and the funny thing is people walk out of the popcorn and you'd actually think you didn't need the rest of the function because they're so excited. I did a wedding and I put a pizza man in the parking lot making hot pizzas. You know how like it's always this like strange sight of like girls leaving a wedding and they got the shoes in their one hand, just killing them, and they're holding their bag, and you know everything's like just falling to disarray.
Guilty.
And the funny thing is seeing girls who haven't eaten for like months before the wedding, and especially the bridesmaids, and they see these pizzas and they can scoff a whole pizza like in one mouthful. But the pleasure that they get from finding a hot pizza in a car park is far more exciting than necessarily a million candles down the aisle, you know, or so.
I can relate to this so much. I'm like, yes, I know which party I want to go to. One's with heaps of flowers, or the one with the pizza guy on the way out the door.
And I have to say, I'm currently working on my website, and I'm going to have a section where I'm actually putting real life wedding videos on there.
Yeah.
And there's so many there that Philip's actually done. And I've had a look at the videos, and I'm not being biased here, and I'm not trying to give you a little bit of an ego boost.
Worth the money I bribed you with. Yeah.
You know, okay. Philip's weddings are fun. I look at the bride and groom, and they are dancing, and they're moving around, and they're having a good time.
That's luxury.
As opposed to, don't come near me. You're stepping on my dress. Oh.
Yeah. They spend 20 minutes having a photo with a cake. You know what I mean? Like, I think like I'll often do weddings where you walk into the room, you cut the cake and go straight into your first dance. Get the cake out the way. No one wants to be involved. Yeah. Everyone's going to cut the cake, and everyone walks up to the cake. It's always like lost time of a function. So the thing is, people relate to the party time of the wedding. So if everything runs late and the speeches are too long and the food comes out too late, you got very little time at the end to party. And if you condense everything in the right way and just be really like, I'm saying I'm not horrible, but you know, like you push the bride not to. She's outside having photos. She wouldn't even know that there are 300 people inside waiting for her. Yeah. So that often everyone, you know, you have to be sort of quite strict because everyone's sort of just on their own, you know. Like, you know, you always say to the best man, you're ready to, as soon as this dance finishes, you're up on the stage, you've got to talk, and suddenly you can't find him. I just remembered he had to go to the bathroom. But I told you, you know, and then the guests are all sort of sitting there, and it's amazing how if you keep on losing these 1, 2, 3 minutes everywhere, at the end of the night, there's a sense of like it didn't move. Yeah. Like, you know, when the dancing starts, if the band's not on the stage, you know, sometimes, you know, and the band says they're finishing dinner, or, you know, that kind of thing, how that can ruin like the whole night. Yeah. And it's such little things. Do you know what I mean? I think even if you go on a visual thing, you know, having a flower arrangement that could be $1,000 sitting right in front of you and you don't even know who's on the other side of the table is not good for the party. So it's like saying, oh, there were amazing flowers until I sat down and I couldn't see anybody.
Or flowers too high at the reception.
Yeah, I'm saying they're too high, they do things.
We can't see the bride and groom. All we can see is this. It's like Wilson from Home, you know, Improvement.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
sometimes it works. Sometimes you don't want to
see people on the other side.
But it's interesting, you know, it's like when you know, shared plates are like a very big thing. And I don't allow more than 7 people per group of shared plates, because when there's 11 people or 12, you spend the whole meal passing plates up and down. So 7 people is like a group, and they can basically get their food without passing plates around, and you repeat that. And, you know, having 4 little bars around the room rather than 1 bar with 220 people trying to get a drink, all those things are forms of luxury. How the room is laid out is a form of luxury. You know, most of my weddings today don't have that main table on the other side of the dance floor. It's something that's integrated in the middle of the room, and everything goes, you know, circumference around that. And it's much nicer for the bride and groom to have their best friends even on the table behind them. You finish dancing, you come back to your table, and your best friend's kind of behind you, and rather than something that's sort of very distant. And I think like the old fancy, like if you think of weddings 20, 30 years ago, it looked all fancy, but I think it was quite not an amazing night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was
Tables
more,
were far away from the bride and groom, and the dance floor would be this. Like we do long, thin dance floors. We don't believe in square dance floors, because a square dance floor is this massive space in the middle of the room, and it feels like there are people on the left and there are people on the right. And you know, like being able to have the people in a bit more like in a big U,
I like that.
makes it more conducive to a party.
That's really cool. So it was interesting. I was just having a little look at the notes that I was writing down, and there's a couple of things that I totally agree with. I love the fact that you were saying that a lot of your clients, they don't necessarily need to have a lot of money to be clients that are going to spend well with you, but they need to value what you do. So I know that some of our clients, they may not be the richest in eastern suburbs, but you know, they may be from the western suburbs of Sydney. I'm in Sydney. They may be from other areas or regions or whatever it is within Sydney, but they value family. They value the milestone of a wedding. They understand the importance, and so you don't have to be located in the middle of Double Bay to have a luxury brand and be able to price, you know, your products well. I think that's really important. I love that. I loved what you were saying, you know, about nostalgia. I think that there's so much in creating a memorable event is about making it relatable, something that people can go, oh my gosh, this takes me back, you know, and that's where you were talking about, you know, thinking about the functionality. What is the experience your guests are going to have? They're going to go to the toilet straight away. That's their first impression. What do they see in there? What are they smelling? So really thinking about the guest experience from start to finish. I can see you put a lot of time into that, and I love that. And yeah, that nostalgia, I'm wanting popcorn right now. And that being memorable to your client, they'll refer you. If you be thankful to your fellow vendors and you know, create that networking, then they'll refer you. And then listening to what people tell you they want, because luxury is going to be different for every person. And hard work is like, you know, Nikki, you were talking about dropping off Delta Goodrum's dress at 4 a.m, or no, Bachelorette and my Delta.
There's something I think I don't know what kind of people we are, but we actually thrive on, like when you're creative, it's very hard to explain to someone that's very sort of almost mathematical or something, that you get the adrenaline of that stuff, you know, like often
right.
people have come and said, can they just come work? They want to see what it's like. And after the first event, they're nearly they're in a coma on the floor because they're so exhausted. And then they get into it, and there's something about that, like arriving at a venue in the morning, and by the night you've created, like, I'm not saying $500,000, but there's lights and there's flowers and everything's there. And I think, you know, often, especially when we've done like ceremonies and then there's like a reveal and people see this, and you can actually hear everyone just like gasp in terms of like the beauty, or I think the thing of giving people pleasure and making people happy. And in fact, I don't know if this is too much of a side, but I went to see someone, the granny had died, and I was sitting with them, and they were trying to work out what to do. They wanted me to do the wake and how we're going to make it. They want to make it special. And I said to them, well, what was your grand's and your mom's favorite food? And with that, suddenly the whole room changed. They were, you know, her cream cake, her this, her, you know, they're going through all the stuff that she loved. And suddenly it became this amazing thing based on memories. The interesting thing is,
love it.
The 70 people of the family came, and they were all going, oh, we used to always have this cake at your gran and, you know, your mom, and we used to do this. So I think everything is about, we all have nostalgic memories. And there's something that I think weddings need to keep on coming more and more nostalgic and have. And there was a part that it's sort of, you know, like I always think like the walls of flowers eventually become almost like fake, especially now that they're silk. And it's been done. It doesn't really necessarily give the function a soul. And I think especially over these last few months, I think everyone wants things that they can feel more, they can feel more connected. I think people are also going to want to be more connected to the right people, or the.
Yes.
And so I think, and I see that also as a luxury. Do you know what I mean? I think people are going to value things so differently, that, you know, like being close to people that you're close with, or having people at your wedding that's not just business associates or whatever the thing is a form of luxury. Like, it's a luxury of life and a luxury of living.
Yeah.
Like, I think we to all just like move our sort of values a little, you know, like a little bit over what's really important.
That's so true. Now, guys, if I am a business, now whether I've been around for a little while or I'm just starting out, and I see you guys and you're at the top of your game, and I think, and I get it. I think one thing that's really important is just because, you know, you don't owe me to refer me, or, you know, things like that. It's something very important to keep in mind. But if I want you to refer me and suggest me to one of your clients, how do I get that foot in the door with you? Like, what are you looking for? How do I impress you? Do I tag you on a social media post? Do I send you a big gift? I don't know. How do I get your attention?
Well, I think the interesting thing for me, I think word of mouth, a lot of you know, like a lot of subcontractors think, well, I don't recommend them, or I do, but a lot works. I mean, it's even like with the one wedding that Nikki did, whether I said to the next person, go to Nikki or don't go to Nikki or whatever, it's actually through the service that she provided. So I find, especially with like a band, most of my clients come to me and say, this is the band I like, this is the photographer I like, this is the video person I like. And a lot has come more through them, and also the power of them talking to their friends. I play often a very little part in those main players. Like, someone knows where they want to. Most times they know where they want to have their dress done. And in fact, normally they did that before he actually announced the engagement. Like, one of our brides that we did together, she actually went and came with me to look at a venue. He hadn't even proposed to her, but she was like, you know, it was on a farm, but Nikki did the wedding, the dress, but he didn't even know he was going to be getting engaged about 2 months later. But the thing is, it's often not us. You know, today people have got so much access to stuff, and the only thing I'd say that I sort of not push against is, you know, often, let's just take a photographer. You know, they'll phone, oh, there's this girl, you know, there's this girl, you know, Bubble and Squeak, and they did some sort of photo shoot for Vogue, you know, with a girl on a bicycle, and I want them to do my wedding. And I always say, like, have they done weddings, or have they done, because it's more that those people in the industry don't affect my event as such, because it's more important that they get the photos that the client wants and everything. But often, I think it's just to use the right people, and often people are trying to be different. A lot of it, they're trying to sometimes be too different, and those things, they're always upset with those people. You know, they didn't feel like they got, you know, because they photographed for the Daily Mail doesn't mean they're a wedding photographer. But I would say a lot of them, I mean, I think a lot of my clients, they come to me and say, look, I'd like to use this band, this photographer, this video. And I think it's also what they find important. So some of them will say, I have to have it at this venue. So I have to see when that so maybe the venue is the most important thing for them.
Yep.
So it becomes like a venue thing. Some people, it's just that the band is the most important, or the photographers. So you tend to start with that person, see when they're available. But I find a very few of my clients that don't know all the photographers, the videos, the bands, because a lot of these girls have been planning it since kindy.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
well, I just know when we chatted last time, I remembered you saying that you found that you tend to chat to a lot of other people in the wedding industry in Italy, for example, more so than even you do in Australia. Would that be fair?
Sorry, what did you?
So I think when we were chatting last time, you were saying that you actually chat and connect with a lot of people from overseas. Yeah, rather than necessarily, like, I think it would be.
I don't know what it is here, whether we don't have time, because I think New Yorkers are more busy and under more pressure. But it seems like it's very hard here to connect. Like, I look at some of my acquaintances in like America, and they'll say, like, all the people. They sometimes, the photographer, the video, the 3 event people go out, you'll see them, it was one event person's birthday party, they're all out for dinner together because they're all in the industry together. I think sometimes here everyone sees, maybe because it's a much smaller market, you know, you think if they get the function, then it means I didn't get the function. You know, I don't know what it is, but it's an interesting thing that we never seem to have time to just be in a room together, connect, and actually give each other moral support. You know,
I always say there's enough work for everybody. You know, there's enough pie to go around for everybody. And I personally do not want to make every bride in Sydney's wedding gown. And I'm not capable of doing it in terms of my staff, my team. I prefer to work smaller and more intimately. That works better for me. 15 years ago, I was doing 12, 13 gowns a day, a weekend. And it pretty much got to the end of the weekend, and I was exhausted. Yeah, I prefer to work more efficiently. And I just tend to find, as you were saying, I think we're all caught up in a little bit too competitiveness here in Australia, and we don't want to be friends, and we're too busy, I don't mean to be rude here, blocking each other on social media so we don't see what each other does. Like,
the worst thing you do is you don't want them to see your stuff because there's a million ways they can see it.
That's exactly, and this is what I'm thinking, hello, like, if I really wanted to see good things, I could do something about it, but it's quite childish and petty, I find. And as I said, like, I have gotten to where I've gotten at the moment because I like driving in my own lane, and I don't like indicating left or right.
Well, it's like in the Olympics, the winning swimmer is the one he's not watching where the others are. And often the one that's coming second or third, he comes second or third because he keeps on checking where the in front is. Instead of moving forward, he's always looking sideways. So it's not, you know, the thing is, as you say, like, even if you look at whether it's event people or photography, everyone goes to certain people because they like a certain style or they like something. So I really believe it would be a much stronger industry if everyone just
together.
Yes. And I know sometimes try to do things together, but hopefully the next generation is much more cohesive and supportive of each other, and realizing what you can gain from that. I mean, I go to this one conference every year, and I mean, I'll talk to at least one of them every week or so. We've got a WhatsApp that we run, you know, if it's your birthday. And I mean, it's sometimes it's a bit very Americanized, you know what I mean? Everyone loves you more than love itself and everything. But there's something that's quite supportive, you know, like a few of them have said, can they see my contract and how do I contract? I'm very happy to do that. I mean, I don't know if you could ask anyone here to see their contract. You know what I mean? And you realize the more you give to each, what I've seen with what I've gained from the people overseas, because you just exchange things the whole time, and you realize there's certain issues you have. And a big thing that we have, especially like in events, is creating boundaries. Clients they can only see you after 6:30 at night because they work in the day, and we all talk about, like at these conferences, like what happens if you said, you know, I'm not answering my phone on a Saturday afternoon. Even if you think I'm I'm either at a function and I haven't got time to talk to you, or why do you think you can phone me on a Saturday afternoon? And I think if we weren't so scared of creating boundaries sometimes, we'd be sometimes a little bit less resentful into the energy, because I think those things sap your energy a little bit. So, you know, if I look at the clients that sort of phone and phone and phone, you eventually run out of, your energy level drops to the thing, whereas the ones that you have like positive meetings and you find there's much more energy with the event.
Yeah. That's so true. I mean, I know that's 100% for me. Sometimes I just find myself going, oh my gosh, I just don't have anything more to give. And it becomes a real struggle. So I love that. And it actually is awesome, because it's something that I know I really would love to see more of, because I know that Nicky, I've worked with you so much. And it's so wonderful when you can get to know other people, and through Weddinar, it's been lovely just getting to know Jessica in Queensland and Annetta in Melbourne, and meeting people all over Australia. It'd be awesome for all of us to maybe share a few more of our stories and get to know each other a little bit more
But I think you realize collaborating takes you so much further.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's so
Yes.
great. I've got, like, Nikki's doing a dress, for example. I don't have to worry, like,
Yeah.
I don't even have to phone her. I don't have to, you don't have to worry the dress is not going to arrive, or
Yeah.
the bride's not going to get dressed. And I think, like, having safety people that you all feel safe and connected, to, rather than, when the video guy arrives 15 minutes late because then, he runs in and tells you there was no parking outside. We knew there wouldn't be parking in George Street. What did you think?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, like, I've got enough stress, it's always like, often when the band, you set the whole room up and everything's perfect, and then the band people arrive, 40 minutes before, and every chair's been perfectly placed and checked with a rod that it's the same distance, and they walk in and just move all the chairs, and they don't even know they've moved. They don't even care that they've moved them. And so, it's...
And just so, if anyone doesn't know, this one blew my mind when I was chatting to Philip one day, and he told me that he actually measures the distance between forks, and the distance with a
and it's the easiest thing to... But I know, if I go through the whole room, every fork, every knife, every plate is the exact distance on the table. And I believe that the guests they don't see it in a conscious way. They see it in like in a sort of Zen. There's something about the room looking neat. So when you're setting the table, you don't get to the end and discover that you haven't got space for the last knife. And so there's something about, if the plate's in the right position, that means the chair's in the right position behind it, the person's not knocking their elbow. I often wonder, like, if the people, I do believe they notice it.
Yeah.
They're not conscious that it's...
yes, it's perfect.
Like when I sometimes correct the glasses on the bar, and the barman, they look at you, like, what difference does it make? And I think it makes a total difference. Do you know what I mean? And I think all those things just reinforce the concept of luxury.
Yeah. And
It's
that's what it's going to take. Like, if you're wanting to do Bill Clinton and you want to do Bill Gates and you want to do like Princess Mary, we have to realize that we have to go above and beyond what everybody else is doing.
I think it's anybody. Do you know what I mean? I think...
Yeah, okay, true.
I know I give everyone the same service. It doesn't matter if they're spending $10,000 on their wedding or $110,000. You have to be able to offer the service. And I think people have forgotten, because everything is so, I always call it like swipe, I want to know where a restaurant is, I swipe it. I want to know where to get this, I swipe it. And, like at the end of the function, we always bring the florist in half an hour before. She starts undoing the flowers, wrapping the thing up, putting a ribbon on it, which looks so much better than when all the nonnas are like now...
ripping them out of the vases.
Like, the whole wedding gets decapitated.
Again, guilty.
Nonna's walking out with flowers and, and a handbag and some biscuits. And you think, like 7 months preparation, but, they walk outside and there's popcorn and there's like a nice bunch of flowers for them. It's funny how, there's still an element where everyone loves that little free bunch of flowers, even though they're made for the day of the wedding. People often say, I'm having guests next Saturday night. Do you think the flowers were lost? I said, well, I hadn't actually thought of that. That was too much layer of detail. Do you know what I mean?
Come on, Philip. Jeez.
The ultimate detail is seeing that the flowers last a week after. They look perfect on the day of the wedding and perfect a week later for their family party.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, look, guys, I'm trying to make sure we stay within around about the hour. Oh, thank you, Serge. I agree with Philip. Everything matters. That is like so true. Guys, this is the last chance. If you've got any questions you want to ask these guys about how they've built their luxury brand, how do you network, how do you get connected, pop them into the chat and we can have a look through those now. And I'm really excited about how we can grow this group. I think we're at 98, 99 members on the Weddinar group, and it's really exciting to me because it's kind of just come as something that I kind of felt like I needed to talk to other people. I just wanted to sort of do something to talk to some other people in the wedding industry when COVID started. And now it's just grown in a way that we didn't expect at all. And it's been so nice to connect with other people who are going through exactly the same thing all over Australia. And now, hopefully, through the Weddinar group, if we can start to share some stories, if you guys want to share what you're doing, if you've got ideas, if you've got things that you want to work on that you're really proud that you've done, you know, I would love you to share those on the Weddinar group. That would be great.
Yeah, I think so the important thing is that people in the industry shouldn't be scared to phone each other and say, I've got a problem, I've got an issue, or, you know, where do you get pink tables from? Or when, you know, and I think everyone thinks it's like you're telling them all your knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, you have to impart knowledge.
Yes.
And, you know, I think the best thing for me is, like, you see someone, even they work for you, they leave you and they grow their own business. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be, you know, doctors don't sort of, you become a doctor and the next person kills people because they haven't been taught to, or they haven't shared knowledge. Do you know what I mean? And it's somehow, you know, it's a weird thing with creativity. Everyone, you know, even the concept of copy, you know, everyone's adapting from other people. You know, nothing's original really. It's always, I've actually got a thing somewhere in my office. But nothing's original. It's how you adapt that idea. I wasn't the first person to think someone would like popcorn at 12 o'clock at night.
No.
I probably wanted it myself. And then, you know, but I think it's important, you know, I think it's just being generous with if you can be generous rather than actually thinking we're all like in a war zone together.
Oh, definitely. And now I've got a whole bunch of questions coming through, which is awesome. Now, thank you so much, Jessica. I know you briefly covered this, but do you believe you have to spend more to get more? Sorry if you already discussed this.
No,
not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Like I've seen you've done like really simple wedding dresses with almost no fabric and no beads, and they've been like unbelievable. Do you know? And I think it's the same. I think what we've really said the whole time is thinking about the details more than it's not about spending the money.
It's about doing the little things that clients will remember. And I touched on this when I was speaking to you earlier, in the sense that when Roxy approached me to create a gown for her her Sweaty Betty's anniversary dinner, I just wanted to go a little bit above and beyond. And I'd spoken to her friends and I said, look, what are some key moments? And I actually made, on the lining of her gown, I embroidered timelines of when all her companies were launched, when they opened. I got messages from her best friends like Francesca Packer, her husband. Her kids do, obviously they can't write, so they did beautiful drawings, and my embroiderer sat there and replicated the drawings, and I had that done all underneath her gown. And when she saw it, she actually started, she started crying, but she goes,
my goodness. She didn't have to reference the dates.
Yes.
During the speech.
Yeah, so she'll sit there pulling up her gown going, look here, look at that, you know. But it was a beautiful moment, and she actually started crying with that, because she goes, there was just that little bit extra that I didn't ask for, but you delivered in that respect.
It's like what we do in the bride and groom's bedroom when they get to their hotel. It's something that they don't expect, but it's understanding the psychology of what would a bride and groom like want or need or whatever. And as I said, sometimes they phone me at 3 o'clock in the morning. We just got to the room and you did this or you put this there. And it was things that you'd listen to through all the months, because often, I'm not saying you go mad for tangents, but, you know, brides will talk about food because they're not eating, you know what I mean? And all I want when I finish is a cat, you know, like a chocolate. And if there was a chocolate there, they get like, so they feel that you listen to everything you did, you know, and it reinforces all the things you did do, because you've gone that step further.
That's awesome. Now, Lauren Allen has asked, hi, good to see you again, Lauren. She was one of our panelists a few weeks ago. Was there a pivotal moment you knew your brand was luxury?
I have to say, when I was asked to design a gown for the Academy Awards for nominees, so I thought, that was amazing. Wow, yeah, definitely. And that I ended up having a connection with Belinda, and it went beyond that. And she's actually now, her husband wrote the new show on Stan, The Great, and it features Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult. And we now have the opportunity where we're talking if red carpets resume again, because myself personally, I haven't only lost my wedding work, I've also lost my red carpet work.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, if there's gold, oh, I'm dying because I had Golden Globes and Emmys lined up. Yeah, I know. So hopefully, that can still go ahead. But I had to say the Academy Awards was that little bit of a turning point where I thought, wow, yeah.
That's cool. And what about you, Philip?
I'm not doing anything with the Academy Awards.
Was there a moment that you kind of went, oh my God, you know what, I'm luxury, I'm an A game, I got this?
No, I think, you know, an interesting thing, I was once reading this thing about, like, Oprah actually interviewed someone and said to, like, you must just be able to walk on the stage now. I mean, you're such a professional actor. And he said, you know, I still get like those nervous pangs. And he went and spoke to Tony Robbins, who sort of said, you need those things. Like, I always wake up the day of an event, that little bit of stress, and that is what gets the day going. If I think I don't care, like I'm totally cool, it's almost thinking it's not good enough, and it's not good enough. And in fact, I'm bad sometimes because the one thing could be wrong. And I think the whole party's a mess until that thing, you know. And so I think you need that little bit of, I think you can never become complacent, however old you are or however, you know, and I think whatever you've done over the years, it's always, you know, I even obsessed the way the truck gets packed, because somehow if the truck's in order, you know, it's about everything. And that's why about a few weeks ago, I put tidying up my dressing room in COVID times, because if I wake up in the morning and I go to an area that's neat, to keep my clothes, the day becomes neat. Do you know what I mean? And if you think it doesn't matter if your desk's a mess and your clothes are a mess, I think it does affect you. So I think you always need that thing where you have a lot of adrenaline. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes I don't control myself so well because but in the end, part of that made, you know, it's amazing, those things. And I'm sure it's the same as when the dress is finished. You know, you do this whole day, and then I'll always take a shower wherever I am, and I come back and I walk back into the room, and you've kind of forgotten about the 10 hours behind. Yes. And you look at the thing and saying, this is actually, I know this is amazing. Or, you know, even sometimes people have cut things down, and I always think, like, I wish they had a hand-painted dance floor. It would have made, for what it cost, it would have made a huge difference to the whole party. And you know, you have to respect everyone's values, and as long as it's being reasonable, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's no good if someone says, I want to spend $34 on food, but, you know, because you have to explain to them that that's not going to have good ramifications on the party, but you clearly don't have to spend $134 or $234. So I think it's more always having clear concepts. And, you know, I always say to people, I've got like 3 standard, like, don't show people everything you thought of. So if you're going to put a big ribbon on the napkins, put a really big ribbon on the napkin. You don't then need like a confetti thing next to it and a camera and this. Just do that one thing a lot.
I like that. I'm writing that one down. Do one thing a lot. That's good.
I always say, like, don't think outside the box. Think like there's no box. And I think the interesting thing about this time period is thinking like there's no box, because even if we're thinking outside the box, it's still having a reference point. And I think what we have to do now is, you know, whether it's designing functions, running functions, designing dresses, you know, maybe dresses are going to be made, but they're going to be used by more, you know, people are, you know, they're going to pass it on to somebody, a lesser actress, or I don't know what, you know. But I think we have to think about things, you know, just open up. We just have to have no box in our head that you know, and look at collaborations and just be open to everything, because we don't, I think it's the first time in many of our lives in terms of our age, we haven't gone through wars or we haven't gone through everything. And it's the first time we've been hit with something which isn't even as bad as wars and genocides and anything. And we all like, this is, it is terrible, but it's also, there's so much personal growth that we, you know, if we take this as a growth phase and a time to reflect on our business and what do we want,
definitely
a new decade next week. And I think, and it's been so nice having this blank time to think, well, what's my next decade going to be about? And, you know, and I think none of us, I think with social media and everyone traveling and being in Europe in July, and like no one has stopped for the last few years to actually just stop and like smell the roses. Do you know what I mean? And I think this has forced us all to do it. And I find it interesting how many of my friends who like barristers or surgeons have kind of said, this was the best time I couldn't operate. You know what I mean? It's been such a good time to be with my family or to do something. And we could have discovered this in 20 years' time or 30 at the end of our life.
Yeah.
So hopefully a lot what has happened now is going to help us all personally grow into something better.
That's awesome. I agree with that. Now, I got Alex Morrison. I agree. We'll have our niche. This was a little while ago. And in the end, an event is created by a group of suppliers, not by yourself. That is so, so true. So guys, if you do have something you'd like to share on the Weddinar group, please, I'd love you to get on and tell us your story and tell us a little bit about yourself, because it is a team effort for all of us. I love it. Fiona Hall, thank you. Love this. I've been feeding granddaughter in the high chair and climbing around the lounge room. That's awesome. Saffron Campbell, love that. Why do we ever start with a box? Yes, exactly.
I wrote that down. I like that one.
I like that too.
Yeah.
But if you look on my Instagram, there's often posts, and I just did one with a cross outside the box, and I took away the box, and so it's like, but I'm a bit obsessed. But it's funny if you think to this thing of no box. It's amazing. Where you think, like, it's up when Roger Bannister ran the 7-minute mile or whatever. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They said humans can't run.
Couldn't be done.
Yeah, it couldn't be done. And the minute he did it, within weeks, it was beaten 3 or 4 times.
Yes. That's a great example. Now, I've just got one question here. Justine said, thank you. Great chat. Inspiring. Thank you, Justine. Oh, and by the way, I can announce, I'm glad you mentioned that, Justine. That's fantastic. Next week, I have one more question. Next week, we have confirmed we're going to do some more marketing. We're going to do marketing and social media. We have got 3 very exciting people on. We have Justine and her sister from now beautiful events up in Brisbane. They styled 250 weddings last year. So they are going to be sharing their secrets for marketing next week. We're going for very national Australian flavour. We have Rochelle from the Spices Group over in Perth. They have a number of venues over in Perth, but not only just venues themselves, they do catering across a multitude of venues as well. So we've got Rochelle from the Spices Group, who's going to be talking about how they're going over in Perth. And we have the Supremo of social media, Wendy from Wedded Wonderland herself, who will also be joining us as well. So make sure you register for next week's webinar as well. It is going to be amazing. And of course, like I was saying, jump onto the Weddinar Facebook group. It's a closed group because we do want it to be about us, so that we can all chat and be really open with each other and share some ideas. Now, to finish off, oh, hang on, I forgot. I have to draw one prize as well. And then I promise, Helen, I'm getting to your question. Okay. If you had seen this week, if you tagged someone in the comments of any of the posts on any Instagram or Facebook, you have gone in the draw to win a free business portrait photo shoot with us. And I'm very excited to say that the winner is, oh, hang on, you can't win, you're my sister. Okay. I've got, Vicky Flanagan. So she is our winner of the business portrait. So we'll be able to do that for you, Vicky, which is very exciting. You're over in South Australia, so I guess I'm going to have to jump on a plane. That will be fun. Okay, separate to that, now last question. Okay, this is one that I struggle with. And tell me, guys, how did you learn to manage your stress during events?
Oh,
Boom. Finish with that one.
Manage
It's not how we handle our stress, it's how everyone around us handle our stress. I mean, I think it's sometimes worth explaining to the people that are around you, or whoever's having a stressful moment, is sometimes that's part of your process and it's not a personal thing.
Yes.
But you're orchestrating everything. And I say, when the band walks in and knocks off 7 chairs and you've spent the whole day putting the chairs out and everything, you want people to, so obviously you don't mean to snap at them, but because how do they know that you spent the whole day? I think, but if everyone understood or understood what everyone else is doing, so that, you know, the lighting guy's always saying he needs the whole room because he needs lights, and the florist is saying I need the table set because I need this, and it's really we're trying to orchestrate everything to be fair to, you know, to be fair to everyone, and sometimes you lose the plot. But it's not because you're not being appreciative or you're not being, part of that is that adrenaline that for perfection.
It's also our passion for making everything perfect for the day. And I know with myself, my stress is I need to see my client dressed so then I know everything is okay. Do you know? Because you hear so many horror stories on the day about a zipper breaking or someone ripping something, and that's why I like to be there so I can at least manage not only my client's stress but my stress at the same time as well. And I remember last year with the Logies, like when we had you know, I didn't end up going to dress any of my clients because I thought, who am I going to dress first? Because everyone had to be ready at the same time, and it was just impossible. And I remember just lying on my couch, I was literally having anxiety, thinking they're going to do something wrong, they're going to forget a belt, or they're going to do this, or they're going to do that. And I said to all the stylists that I work with, please send me a text message. I just need to know that everything's okay. Once everything was okay, I actually, funny enough, just picked myself up off the lounge and a lot of deep breathing and calm, you know, wave crashing music, and just recovered and went on and watched the show.
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, basically the answer is stress is okay.
Yeah, it's normal. It's normal.
That's good. Yeah. That actually makes me feel.
And it's expected too.
Yeah. I guess it's a, you know, if you didn't feel stressed, you wouldn't care. So
yeah,
that is fantastic. Now, guys, so I popped a little panel, a poll up in the group the other week, asked what you guys wanted to hear about. Marketing, brand building, social media is what you said. If there's anything else that you want to hear about, if there's someone else that you'd like to listen to, please let us know. Like I said, this is something that kind of a bit of a weird journey that we're all on together, and I hope this is something we can all kind of share our stories and sort of continue to grow our community together. It's kind of,
you can also wear pajamas even through Zoom meetings.
I know, pretty cool.
I'm not standing up.
I have to say, it's the one day a week I'm like washing my hair at the moment. This is the trouble. When COVID's over, I'm going to have to wash my hair every day again. Jeez. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you both coming on. Thanks, guys, for tuning in again. We'll see you next Friday.
Thank you.